things was that I felt so pressured to keep up with all the doll lines and all the new stuff, and it did bother me for so long.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Out of the Box, episode 4. Yes, we're on episode 4, and we have Johnny, Chloe, and myself, Elvira. And today we're going to go over a topic that I feel like I've heard other people communicating and expressing within the doll community, which is being overwhelmed. I feel like that is an adjective that we have used to describe ourselves as doll collectors more than once, at least.
Yeah.
To go into it and going into our first question, I guess we'll start with Chloe. How are you feeling with your collection right now? Are you feeling overwhelmed with your personal collection?
Yeah. I am. Truly, I am. Truly,
We're all
I
like,
am.
yes. It was fine.
No, hi, how is everyone? Straight to the point. Yeah, no, I have been feeling overwhelmed. I think there's so much product out in the market right now, and I'm also collecting things that aren't in the market, so like secondhand and stuff like that. So it gets pretty overwhelming pretty fast, to the point where I have dolls everywhere, and they're just like randomly everywhere. It's not like, oh, they're there because they look nice. No, they're everywhere. I look around and I'm like, there's a doll laying over there, there's a doll over there. So it gets pretty overwhelming. I love them, but it does get overwhelming.
I know, I just skipped right over the intros. I was like, let's get into it. It's like, I'll work on that, everybody. I know I'm going to hear in the comments. I'm going to work on that. I'll be like, all right, let's see how everybody's doing. And then we'll deep dive into topics. I'm just ready to
No. I love
topics.
It's cool.
Let's talk about stuff. So Johnny, I know that you said yes as well to that question. Are you feeling the same way? Just like there's just too much?
For me personally, where I'm in, yes, because I don't have the luxury to have like a doll room. So like everything is in here. I know some people, some collectors see their dolls as like an escape, and like they'll go into their doll room and like they'll have a fun time, just looking at their dolls and stuff. But for me, I don't have that luxury, so they're all in here, and my room is pretty small, so I'm like this, and the dolls are everywhere, and I have so many that like I put up a bunch of shelves that aren't even supposed to be up there. There's a shelf there, so like if there's a empty space, I put a shelf, and they're gonna be on my bed soon. This won't even be my bed anymore. But yeah, it is overwhelming, but at the same time, I love dolls, so like I can't stop buying them, and that's like one of the things where like I look at them in the store, and the first question I ask myself is, do I have space to put this doll? Most of the times, no, and I still buy it. I think that's one of my main problems, and that's why, to me, it's very overwhelming, because as I keep collecting, as the time goes on, my space decreases, and like I just can't. It's a bit too much. It's a bit too much, but hopefully we can start letting go at some point.
I know. I feel the same way. Like I will be very honest, I'm very privileged to be able to have 2 rooms with dolls in it.
I'm
Because
leaving the podcast.
This is like a filming space room, which now is being taken over by dolls. At one point it was not. And then I have a full room of dolls. So I have it contained to not the whole house, just 2 rooms. And I'm still overwhelmed knowing that they're there. Because at least in my bedroom, I only have like 1 doll in there, and then like my living room and everything, it's like 1 doll, like that's it. I'm like, no, you guys have to stay in your room. Because I feel like I would be overwhelmed if it was on me all the time. So I don't know how you're doing it, where you literally are being engulfed around doll. Like,
oh, I'm not doing it. I'm not fine.
Like that's I could. You're like, I'm not surviving. This is a fake smile right now. Me personally, being claustrophobic, even being in my house sometimes is overwhelming to me. So I can't imagine being that consumed with it. But I mean, I'm the same way. Like I have a whole stack, which you don't see right now, in our living room. This is our staged living room. I have a whole stack that I haven't even unboxed yet, and even that is making me feel anxious and overwhelmed, knowing that they're in a box sitting there going, let us out. And so yeah, I totally feel I've made videos on this before, and I think this is something very common as us being doll collectors, where we want, it's consumers, and we're like, oh my gosh, more new stuff, I need all of it. But then when we have it, we're like just taken over by it. Do we feel any pressure? Like, is that so to go into like why we're feeling overwhelmed? Like, do we feel pressure within being in the doll community? Because that's one thing with me, like I'm trying to get better at it, but I'll see pictures of dolls and other people getting them. And I'm like, oh, I want that too. And so do you guys feel like pressure from just, social media and being in the community to get more?
I did. I learned not to feel that pressure, because I will say towards the beginning of maybe like 2022, I don't know what year it was exactly, what month, but I had a mental breakdown, and Johnny knows about it because I was crying on the phone to him. And I was just like, venting out how I felt. And one of the things was that I felt so pressured to keep up with all the doll lines and all the new stuff. And it did bother me for so long, to a point where I had to turn back and tell myself, if it's meant for you, it'll happen eventually, right? And that's where I kind of came up with the thing in my head where I'm like, well, they're eventually going to go on sale. You'll eventually be able to buy them. Don't feel pressure to get every single doll even before it releases, because some stores will release them early, and you see people getting them and it gets you excited and you want to go and find them and be the lucky one. So I kind of had to have a little pep talk with myself. And I told myself, it's okay. You don't have to have them all. And now I have this little rule where when a new doll line comes out, I pick my favorite one and I'll get my favorite one, enjoy that doll. And then later on, when the others go on sale, I'll pick them up, or whenever I get a chance.
That's really good.
What
Do you
about
feel
you,
that
Johnny?
way as well, Johnny? Have you,
Johnny.
I was gonna say, like, treating it like therapy. Have you come to realize the problem?
Yes, I have. I am 3 days doll sober.
That's how I feel. As ridiculous. See, I would love for an outsider, a person who is not a collector. We'll just open the bubble to, all collectors. They're probably just like, oh, well, you just don't need it, don't buy it. You know what I mean? And that's how, like, my dad, for example, who is not a collector at all. I don't think he's ever collected anything in his life. Who the whole family's collectors. Yeah, it's so strange when he's just like, well, you don't need it to survive. It's not food. It's not shelter. It's like, you just don't need it. And I was like, and I completely understand that from a non-collector's mindset. But as someone so deep into the doll community and doll world as we all are, it's just one of those things where it's like, but I do need it. So as we joke
Yeah.
about being doll sober, which honestly, I love that title. It sounds like an album title. I agree with you. I feel like this whole year I've kind of come to, being more self-aware of my purchasing, of my doll collecting. And, something to touch on that Chloe spoke of is like learning, like, just because, oh, someone else got it, the first one. I don't have to be the first one. It's great when it happens, but it's no longer creating the anxiety and the pressure when you step back and go, you know what? If I get the doll, I get the doll. It's just a part of the collecting process. But yeah, I kind of like that you said that. That was very on the nose.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people like get so caught up in the idea of, I want to be the first one to review it. I want to be the first one to show it, to share it, to enjoy it, that I think over time it sucks out the fun of collecting. You have to ask yourself, why are you collecting? Are you collecting because you want to please other people, because you want to show off to other people? Or are you collecting because you genuinely enjoy it? And I think that goes for all spectrums of collecting, right? Not just dolls. Like, everybody has something they collect, Unfortunately for me, I am an addict and I have multiple things I collect. So it becomes very overwhelming, because I do collect dolls, but I also collect other things. And, you have to pick and choose, and you have to figure out what you want to do. And I mean, I genuinely enjoy collecting dolls for me. So that's why I had to take like that little step back and, have that little talk with myself. And yeah.
I think just to add on that with the sharing of stuff, I think back in December, like whenever the Shadow High Series 2 came out, I was like very dedicated to like, I need to put this out, I need to put this out, I need to put this out. And then I didn't like after everything was out there, I'm like, wow, I didn't really fully enjoy every single doll. I kind of just like reviewed this one, posted pictures, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And I was, wow, I didn't enjoy them as much as I should have. And it was a pressuring thing because kind of like in Project Runway, they're like, one day you're in, the next day it's out. So it's kind of, if you're not posting it right then and there, if you post it like a month later, 2-3 weeks later, it's not going to get the same engagement. And back then I really was onto the engagement, but now I'm just happy to have the doll whenever I get it. I don't even have a lot of like the dolls that are coming out soon, but
oh wait, oh, you mean like the new Shadow High Series 3 ones? Is that the ones that you're talking about?
yes, those
I know
and
people
stuff,
are
because
finding them
yeah,
already.
people have been finding them in Target, and I'm not gunning like to every single Target. I before, like when Shadow High Series 1 came out and 2, I was crazy to see if I could find them as soon as possible. With Series 3, I'll see them when I see them. It's fine. And that's how it is now. And I think it's a healthy way of seeing it now. I think I wasn't doing it the right way back
Yeah.
then, and I'm more happier collecting that way than how I was back
I think
then.
that's the big thing to remember is, especially when you are posting images, if you are, whether you want to be a content creator or not, to really step back and go, well, why am I posting this? Why am I doing these videos? And, it's very different now, the world we live in versus almost 10 years ago when I started, where I could post a video and I know people, I'm like, oh, people watch it or not, 3 weeks after it all came out. And it's not a big deal. But now I feel like we are so overwhelmed with anyone who's a collector is now putting out content, which I think is great. I'm not shaming that at all. I think the more the merrier. I'm all about it. It's just one of those things where I feel like it also has an underlying pressure to a lot of people go, I need to post because everyone else is posting and to keep up with it. And then to me, it's almost like you lose the joy of collecting in the war of the posting so much content all at once. It's like there's been times where people are like, oh, did you see that doll come out? And I'm like, what doll? And I know that sounds crazy. People are like, oh, but you post doll content stuff. Shouldn't you know? And I don't. I try really hard to not be so tied to it because now I'll lose the love for the dolls. And
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Like I love Shadow High Series 3. I'm very excited to see them when I see them. I think it's
Right.
great that people are finding them already at Target, sharing pictures. I love the one with the CD skirt with the little like CDs all over it. I think that's so great. That's the one I'm hoping I find first. But I agree with you. Back in the day, I will be remember when I would get off work, I'd be like, we're driving to every Target and I'm
Everywhere,
driving
every single
50
Target.
minutes to the one on the coast because I know that one always gets it first. And now I'm just like, that was nice. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, if it gets there a month later, 2 months later, it's perfectly fine. I'm gonna survive. I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I
like it's
agree
one of
with
the
you.
things to post content. It's it is the balance because I love doing this and I don't ever foresee myself not creating some type of doll YouTube podcast postings of some sort. But I've learned to understand that, I have to still love it for me to still want to do it. So I'm glad that all three of us are becoming doll sober. Oh my gosh, I love that. We need to coin that. Where's the
We're more
t-shirt?
aware. We're more aware.
Yeah, I agree with you guys as well. I also find joy in going to the stores and looking at the new dolls and just looking at them and almost not desiring them, but almost one day I'm gonna get you. And every time it's so crazy because I don't know if you guys do this. I feel like you guys do this, but as someone who collects dolls, every time I go to Walmart, it doesn't matter what I'm picking up. It doesn't have to be doll related. I could be going to Walmart to pick up an apple. I will walk to the doll aisle and see all of the dolls like I've never seen them before, even though I've seen them 50 million times. And I just like looking at them. I just like looking at them. And that in a way satisfies me until I get it. Yeah.
I am
So
the exact same way. I do
Yeah.
that too. I am guilty.
I
I
love going
drag
to
everyone.
Target. I mean, every time I'm in there, like you said, for whatever it may be, air fresheners, a candle, whatever, socks. I'm like, oh, we're going to the doll aisle. Like, I mean, it's just like an unspoken thing. Whether I'm with my mom, because I take my mom out because she doesn't drive, so I'm her Uber, and I'm like, guess where we're going? Target, and she's like, to look at dolls. I'm like, no, I need socks.
Socks, yeah.
But it's one of those things where, yeah, I agree with you. Even though I've seen Series 2 Shadow High a million times already for the past like 7 months, I'm still excited when I'm like, oh, look at them. Look at them on the shelf. Look at in their boxes. Look at
Every time
so
I
much
go,
fun.
I drag everybody who goes with me to the store to the doll aisle.
Oh,
Every
Right.
single time. It's almost like a thing where like now my sister and my boyfriend, they know. They're like, oh, we're gonna let's hurry up because we're gonna have to go to the doll. We're gonna have to go see the dolls.
it's
And
like having a toddler with you. It's like we're gonna go to the doll aisle, but only for 2 minutes. And I'm like,
yeah,
And you can't get anything. You can just
yeah.
look. No touching, just looking.
What?
Sometimes you don't even need a reason to go to the store. You don't even need to buy anything, pick up anything. You just look at the dolls.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
I
yeah.
know it's silly. I treat it like Disney. It to me like that. And now that with all the Halloween decor at all the stores, like the other day, I was very proud of myself. There were really cute bat things there, but I did not buy any of them. But I stepped away and I was like, is this how people feel when they go to Disney World? where they're just walking down the
Yeah.
doll aisle and I'm just like, oh, what a magical place this Target doll aisle is. And then I leave and I feel so satisfied. I was like, oh, this is how people feel with Disney World.
Exactly. I agree. Same. I'm literally the same. That's what I do. Like I have my routine when I go into a store. I'm like, I have to go look at the toys. I have to go look at the clothes. I have to go look at the seasonal items. I have to go look at the makeup. But I'm just looking. I'm just looking. And it's so like, I don't know. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
One day we will all be millionaires. I'll get that winning Powerball ticket of $1 billion, which I think somebody did win that recently here in Florida. And I cannot imagine, of course, I would be responsible. I would go buy some property, but then I would buy in every single doll. And then it'd be like Oprah up in here. I'll be like, you get a Shadow High doll. You get a High doll.
Yeah, no,
You like me. You really like me.
but that's a really great question I wanted to ask you guys. I know over the years doll collecting, you know, it's been a thing, you know, but financially, like because there's different stages. There's different stages for collecting, right? And I think we've all been through the ups and the downs with collecting, and financially that also changes how you buy dolls and how like when you buy them. And it was really funny because I'm kind of stuck in the middle right now where Elvira said, oh, I have a doll room. And then Johnny's like, oh, I don't. I share a room. And I used to have a doll room and now I share a room with my dolls. So I'm kind of in that same bubble, you know. I'm like, it's a struggle. And then financially, it's also been a struggle to buy the dolls. So that has to do a lot with why I had that talk with myself. Financially, you have to be responsible. Like you said, Elvira, you have to, yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys the same thing. Financially, is that something that impulses you guys with your dolls, and how does that help or doesn't?
Johnny, you can take this one first.
Yeah, usually when I'm more financially stable, I'll go crazy with dolls. Absolutely, I won't buy every single doll on the shelf, but I will buy, a couple here and there. And whenever I'm not that financially stable, that's where I'll go into the store and look at them. Maybe buy one, and it wouldn't be one of the dolls that like cost a lot. Maybe the more affordable ones, because we do have some amazing doll lines that are at an affordable price point, like the Naturalistas and the Fresh dolls. So there's still like alternatives that you get from buying dolls, but like it's more cost effective, if you will. And that's what makes me happy, because like there's dolls of like every single price point that you can see. And of course, when I have more money, I'll buy the dolls that I really like that are more affordable at that price point, of the higher price point. But for now, sometimes when I'm looking, I'll appreciate them for what they are, because they're so beautiful. I love seeing all the fashion and stuff. And when you see the pictures online, it's so fun getting to see them in person, even if I'm not buying them. Like for the runway dolls, for the Rainbow High runway dolls, I've only seen pictures, and I saw them a couple days ago and they were gorgeous, and I was so happy to see them. And I didn't buy a single one of them, but I was just so happy to look at them. I picked every single one up. I analyzed them. I looked at the fashion, like, wow, these are amazing, but I'm not getting any of them. And I was happy. I was happy to just leave them on the shelf, and I saw them and I got home and I'm like, wow, they're looking amazing, and I'll get them eventually.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the same way, where I have been more aware, especially where we are, which I know we've mentioned before in other videos, where it's like the climate that we're in financially and how everything is here in the States, where it's so expensive just to live. And I know it sounds silly to someone who is not a collector, who's possibly listening to this, where they're like, it's a doll, but it is something that does bring me so much joy. So finding that balance to where I have been having to be pickier because I have to be more self-aware. Where I agree with you, Johnny, when I am doing more better financially, I am buying more dolls. Like right now I'm in a process where I have to really downsize. I have to really save a lot of money. So I've been pickier. Do I want all the runway dolls? Yeah. But right now I was like, I can't get all of them. And it's one of those things where, you know, I love when things are on sale. And so it's a lot of it's a balancing act. I feel like a lot of us, there was this big shift in collecting, especially during quarantine, and people had so much time at home and they're like, oh, I'll buy more dolls because I am at home, you know, and I want more things to do at home. So I think that shifted for a lot of us. I noticed more people were buying more dolls, more collecting, because they were able just to sit at home and stare at them all day and play with them and be expressive in that sense. And I think I got sucked into that a little bit, but since then it's been on a decline of, okay, I really need to save because everything is way more expensive. Do I like it? No. But unfortunately, that's kind of where we are financially. That's why I always joke. I'm like, well, you know, when I won the lottery, if all of a sudden I post, I just went to Target and bought every single doll, like, you know, then you'll know that everything has gone way better for me. But yeah, no, that's just one thing I think with any type of collecting, you have to have that balancing act of obviously life stuff needs to be taken care of before the collection, even though I would rather have the collection.
Same.
I would rather just have the dolls. Like, is that so hard to ask for? Is just like dolls around me forever consistently coming in? But even then I think that would get tiring, right? Like we would be tired of just like, oh, another doll to unbox. Like, oh great, you know. It's like grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah, you never wanted to become a chore.
Yeah.
To like unbox a doll or to
collect, be around them. Yeah.
You never wanted to be a chore because, like Johnny said, it is almost a happy escape. Whether however you use your dolls or experience your dolls. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. It does become crazy sometimes.
And then one more question here as we wrap up today's overwhelmed episode. Do we feel like there's an influx in more dolls? Because there was a doll drought, so to speak, back around like after G2 Monster High, so like 2017, 2018-ish era. And now I feel like there's just so many dolls coming out from so many different manufacturers and brands, and dolls or doll lines are coming out with like 50 different dolls in a line. Why do we think that? Why do we think there's more dolls coming out now than before? One of the reasons that I personally feel like it's that is because of a slogan, which I mean, some people don't like the name. It's called Kidult or Kid Adult, where brands are being more self-aware that collecting and collectors as an adult is a thing versus focusing on toy product just for kids. So I think a lot of brands within the past 2 years, especially after quarantine and stuff, where people were like, oh, adults are buying toys. Let's get in on this. So I think they're pushing out more product, not only to obviously to continue to do stuff for kids, but also because they're noticing and now recognizing the adult collector. Is that the reason that maybe you guys were thinking, or is there something else that I'm missing?
I'm gonna agree with you on that one because I think a couple years back, we like doll collectors, adults were seen as deviants. So like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, why are adults collecting toys? Nowadays, it's more acceptable and it's not as frowned upon as it was like a couple years ago. And I think that's what's bringing companies in to have like more dolls, more fashion focused dolls, more of the like premium collector dolls as well, because they know adults are buying them. And the demographic is, I'm pretty sure it's still mainly the kids, but like there is a big chunk of that demographic that is adults. So that's what we do see like, and how Monster High is even pumping out more of the collector dolls. I think they did like the Annabelle, and that was like the third doll. I don't think they ever do like 3 like a year. So I think that's one of the things
I think it has been 3. Wow, that is a lot of collector dolls this year.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that they contribute to having more dolls, and that's why sometimes it does get very overwhelming because it's very competitive right now. And I think even with the Barbie movie, it's gonna get even more competitive because like now they're gonna have to compete with Barbie. There's a couple of new doll lines coming out, throw that in with more lines and everything, and it's super overwhelming, especially for people that collect multiple stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Also, during quarantine, I think that's when we saw that increase, like Elvira said, of people collecting in general. But I think it almost made people connect with that nostalgic feeling of owning certain things, right? And dolls were one of them. I saw a lot of people get a lot of dolls during quarantine because, like Elvira said, they were at home. And I think that's what companies saw. They realized that, oh, there is a big market for adult collectors. And they went full force. And the first time I noticed that was when they started coming out with more expensive dolls, more collector dolls. That's when I realized, oh, they're paying attention. They're realizing that all these people, all these kids who collected Monster High and all these older doll lines, brats, they're grown-ups now. They have adult money, which means we can up the price and they will pay it. And guess what? We did.
We all did.
We all
Everyone did.
did.
Everyone
Hopefully in the
did.
future.
Woo. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I mean, for the longest time, you know, they had the Barbie collector dolls and that was like it, you know, or they would have like integrity. Like you'd have to go to a certain line to really get the collector aspect. And I mean, I feel like there are lines that are doing it well right now. Like obviously, you know, Rainbow High doing the collector balancing with the play line, but I'm really interested. I wonder if there will be a doll burnout where the collector aspect and the doll community will just be like, this is a lot. And then they'll start doing what we're doing, which is go to the store, look at the dolls, appreciate the dolls, or wait for them to go on sale. And unfortunately, that doesn't help the end profits for a lot of these companies. So we'll see, there's going to be a doll burnout. I hope there isn't, because I love seeing all the dolls. But I totally understand from a business perspective that you have to balance it. So
yeah, I predict that there will be a doll burnout. Eventually, maybe in the couple next like 2 years or so, just because people are getting back to going out. I
Yeah.
also know that because people were staying at home, all of that income that they were making, if they were making income, it was not disposable, but it was income that they would use and put towards vacations and luxury items and things that are expensive, but that you do, you know, and that's where the money was going. Oh, well, I could start collecting this and that, and that's where they were spending their money. And I think now, people are starting to see that, oh, I can go here and I can start traveling again and I can start doing this and I can start doing that and spending more money. And I think slowly people are going to kind of like take
The
it
doll
back, and
budget will
there's
go down.
yeah, and there'll be a burnout, and you know it's a part of collecting. You go up, you go down, and you just never know. But hopefully there isn't.
Hopefully there isn't. Yeah.
It's not like crazy bad like back in 2017.
Oh, when
Hopefully
there was
it's
like
like
no dolls on the
Yeah.
shelf.
Yeah.
I know that
As
was such
sad
a
as the
weird
doll
time.
drought was, my wallet was happy.
You know what? I do agree with that. I do. And as we wrap up today's episode, let's touch on really quickly the Doll Awards. Yes, are you not following the Doll Awards? You should
Ooh.
be. The Doll Awards Instagram keeps you updated on what's going to be happening for the award show this year. At this point, when this video goes up, the presenters will be presented on Reels on our Instagram page. So
Everyone
definitely check
will
it out
be
to see who will be
revealed.
presenting at this year's Doll Awards. And then after these presenters, you know what's going to be coming up on Instagram? Yes, it will be the categories, which I'm very excited to see. And we will be dedicating an episode to that where we can talk about our predictions, our Dolly predictions, what we think will be the hottest things for each topic. So I wonder where that's going to go, what that's going to happen. Is there anything that I'm missing on that, Johnny? I know that presenters are out. Categories are coming
I
up
think,
soon.
yeah, that you've summarized it.
Summarized it all, yeah. But basically, just check us out at the Doll Awards, and like I said, keep updated with all of the posts and stuff. Johnny's been doing fantastic on the Instagram page. I am
Thank you.
not taking any credit there. That is
obsessed.
completely him.
So good, so
Amazing.
good. I hope
Available to get
everyone's been
hired for
liking
work if
that.
anyone needs it.
I hope everyone's enjoying all of the enjoyed all of the reveals and everything, because I had amazing. You really outdid yourself, Johnny. And if
Thank you
I
so
did want to
much.
say, if you're watching us on YouTube, comment down below and let us know who you are most excited to see in the Doll
Yes,
Awards.
we love that. Yes, please comment below. Also, any other topics or categories you would like for us to present on this podcast, we're open to ideas. We are. I'm always interested to see people like, oh, I really want you to talk on that topic. And I'm like, oh my God, that's such a good topic. This is a great having a team of people coming together to talk about dolls. But thank you again, Johnny and Chloe, for being here with me and wanting to work on this project. It's been really, really a lot of fun, and excited for episode 5 to come.
It's always a
Episode
pleasure to be
5.
here.
Episode 5. We're learning. We're slowly learning.
We're getting better every episode.
We're newbies. We're newbies. Well,
I'm new.
We're all new.
We're all new.
Until next time, bye everybody.
Bye.